on the mountains we're facing in our lives. We should hopefully be beginning to see the obstacles a little more clearly, but that doesn't mean they are now easy to overcome. Soon we'll be returning to the real world, and all the mountains we've been able to leave behind the last 2 days will return. How are we going to face them? Are we going to start climbing, continue to climb, or still try to find another good ground? In Matthew 26, 36 through 46, says, Then Jesus went with them to a garden called Gethsemane and told his disciples, Stay here while I go over there and pray. Talking along Peter and the two sons of Zebedee, he plunged into an agonizing sorrow. Then he said, This sorrow is crushing my life out. Stay here and keep vigil with me. So going a little ahead, he fell on his face, and Jesus prayed, My Father, if there's any way, get me out of this, but please, not what I want, what you want. What you want. Then he came back to his disciples. When he came back to his disciples, he found them sound asleep. He said to Peter, Can't you stick it out with me for a single hour? Stay alert. Be in prayer so you don't wander into temptation without even knowing you're in danger. There is a part of you that is eager, ready for anything in God. But there's another part that's as lazy as an old dog sleeping by the fire. Then Jesus left them a second time. Again he prayed, My Father, there is no other way than this. Drinking this cup, I am ready. Do it your way. When he came back, he again found them sound asleep. They simply couldn't keep their eyes open. This time, he let them sleep on and went back a third time to pray, going over the same ground one last time. When he came back the next time, he said, Are you going to sleep on and make a night of it? My time is up. The Son of Man is about to be handed over to the hands of sinners. Get up. Let's get going. My betrayer is here.
We probably already all heard this story. This is the night of Jesus' arrest and betrayal by Judas. Jesus and his disciples came to a secluded garden to pray. And out of all the disciples, Jesus had his inner circle, just a few. And they came with him to keep watch as he prayed. We all have these same sort of relationships in our own lives, right? We all have friends, but there are some friends that are much closer to us than others. Do you agree? These are the friends we go to in the tough times because we believe they can help in ways that others can't. And that's what Jesus is doing here. He's facing the biggest mountain he's ever come to in his life and knows he can't face it alone. He knows he needs not only God's help, but the help of true friends. There are two things that happen in this story that I want to point out. We believe that God has a plan for us, right? We believe that things happen for a purpose, right? We believe that the mountains we're facing are there for a reason, right? The mountain Jesus is facing is dying for the sins of everyone else in the world. Those that came before him, those living currently, and the millions of generations to come. His mountain is to take all that upon himself and die upon a cross. And when we compare the mountain Jesus faced to our own, they just don't compare. Do they? The other point I want you to get is Jesus' friends. Like we talked about before, when facing mountains, We need others who believe and trust in God to help us climb. That's what Jesus was going for. He knew that he was facing too much to take on by himself. He needed his closest and best friends. But what happened? His friends fell asleep. They weren't any help. And Jesus continually went to them for help, but never got any. Another point worth exploring is that Jesus asked God to change the situation. Meaning, it's not wrong for us to ask God to change the situation, to move the mountain before us. However, Jesus says that if it's God's will, then it should be changed. Not just because he doesn't want to climb the mountain. The same must be true for us. We can ask God to move the mountain, but we must also be prepared to accept the fact that sometimes the mountain just isn't going to move. And we're just going to have faith and get climb. We're going to break up now and talk about this a little bit further. Same as last night. Just give us